this moment we're living through, which is on the other side of an attempted assassination on Donald Trump, I understand that you must say political violence has no home in American politics. But as I've said before on different platforms, if you haven't heard me say it, it's a little bit like saying, I don't think money has place in American politics.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't think, and I said the Kardashians have a place in American politics.
I don't think lobbyists have a place in politics.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that, television advertisement has a place in politics. I don't think we are already there, people. The shark has been jumped.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming right for us. We're in a battery powered boat and Donald Trump thinks we're somehow going to get electrocuted. I'm not sure how it all works, but there is the shark. Political violence exists in this country. It arguably has existed since the country's foundation in colonialism, in the enslavement of people, in land grab, and in the denying of full citizenship, access to property, access to voting, all of that to most people in this country. The history of this country is absolutely violence. And I don't say that with some sort of right-wing Civil War fantasy wish, which potentially could have been the motivation for this shooter. We don't know. But I don't say that with a sense of inevitability, that this has to be the way it is. We've always been a violent nation, ergo we're continuing to be a violent nation. What are you going to do about it? I say that because when you say political violence has no place in American politics, the next thing out of your mouth has to be, what are we doing to stop it? How are we protecting Americans every single day? How are we working to specifically ourselves, like get weapons out of the hands of American citizens, number one, but also number two, what are we doing about the growing number of anti-government militias in this country? Are we tracking them? Do we know what's up with them? Are we listening to the former white supremacists? There's only a few who have come out there and said, look, what we actually need is educational programs, a way to de-radicalize people, right? Are we treating some of the extremism in this country in the way that it needs to be treated? And I have a massive critique of some of the sting operations and some of the BS in the ways that the FBI has tried to go after those groups, but we'll leave that aside. So the question is, what are you doing about it? Stop condemning it. And here was Joe Biden the other night issuing this statement. We need to change the rhetoric, man. Come on. And there were some good things about this statement. He did mention that there's already violence afoot and this is bad. But then he was sort of calling on everyone to just sort of cool your jets.
We must not go down this road in America. We've traveled it before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. The political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that.
Okay. So
he sounds great.
He sounds fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's good.
He should stay in the race.
Yeah, he looks stronger than ever, honestly.
One of the strongest men I've ever seen.
But it's so terrifying on a number of levels that this is the Democratic candidate for president, number one, but also that this is the guy who's going to try and rein in political violence. This is the person who's going to tell us to knock it off. That when he says knock it off, we're going to believe him.
Yeah.
Did you believe anything that came out of his mouth. I mean, he could barely get his mouth around it. It was obviously a teleprompter, and he stumbled a lot even through it. He missed words, and you're like, "Whoop, just keep going, just keep going." The prompter operator's like, "I'm just going. I don't know."
We didn't even get to the part in the clip where he talks about, how we fight not with bullets, but at the ballot box, in which he just says battle bots a couple of times. We fight at the battle bots. We don't fight with bullets. We fight at the battle bots. And
the thing
honestly,
is he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. We do fight at battle bots. We fight with the battle bots. That's how wars are won, with our battle bots.
I mean, yeah, ask DARPA.
Yeah, but he's not wrong. It's not necessarily that the content is incorrect or whatnot. It's just like, the thing about leadership is you want a leader to lead, and the problem with Biden is he just seems empty. Yeah. Like, the rhetoric is there, but it's just not believable.
We're also at a time when the right is claiming that Joe Biden has been inflaming the rhetoric. It's like, are you all first of all, are you all aware of how much you ping pong back and forth between whether he's a criminal mastermind who's inciting violent rhetoric against Donald Trump, or if he's a total corpse who's going to be like a shoo-in for Donald Trump?
Yeah.
No, but it is, I'm glad he mentioned those instances. It is important to mention that the plot against Gretchen Whitmer was in part instigated by the FBI. And I do not believe that is the way to root out some of these violent anti-government and militias and plots that we have in this country. But it's like, we're too late. What is the actual, Matt, after January 6th, you and I did our last piece for Newsbroke.
That's right.
And we basically implored, and I can't believe people didn't watch our video. You know what I'm saying?
Did they not?
I know.
But
we implored. We were like, what is the way forward to de-radicalize what has clearly been a growing element, and or an element that never went away? I mean,
right. An emboldened element.
An emboldened element.
Right-wing fascists who...
yes. Yeah. A former Confederate killed, Abraham Lincoln.
That's true.
Like, let's be real. All that we are suffering is an extension of, the Civil War. In effect.
The ultimate American tradition of culture war that we've been fighting for since the nation's founding. Yeah,
exactly. The anti-woke versus the woke.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what the answer is. I will say that the problem that I have with it is that political violence only extends to the attempted shootings of politicians, but not to the policies that the political policies that lead to the devastation of the working class of America, and the poor and the sick and the hungry and all of the people. Like, these policy decisions are a form of political violence. Overturning Roe v. Wade is a form of political violence. The violence only matters when it's the president who is threatened, or the sitting president or the former president. And it's it's like, it needs a new word. It's like, is this political violence, or is this violence against a politician? This is politician violence.
Yeah.
And
a guy who's like really into political violence, who stoked it so much, and I've been over this, we've talked about it, but who's inspired mass shootings.
Yeah.
Who thinks that BLM protesters should be shot, who relishes in the idea of punishing Palestine protesters as well. Like, they love this. They've inspired his followers, have done things like mail pipe bombs to Democrats.
Yeah.
Run their cars into protesters, to say nothing of the Unite the Right rally, where they actually successfully murdered one of those protesters.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we are no stranger to this. What are you doing about it? What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.